Hello friends, we are going to look at a place called GLENCOE in Trinidad. That's Trinidad, an island in the Caribbean. It's part of a country known as Trinidad and Tobago, which is two major islands, but they're actually smaller islands as well, in addition to the two larger ones. That is GLENCOE. It's just north of a place called Shorelands, next to Goodwood Park, near to Westmoorings, and just above Point Kumana. That's the general area I'm showing you, so you can get an idea of some of the roads that we will cover. Goes into a mountainous area, so you will see a lot of the views that people have. The area is called GLENCOE. Now we're going to start this road trip from on a flat. This is Westmoorings by the sea you're looking at. And this is the Western Main Road. We're heading west. On the mountain there to the right, that's Goodwood Park. I have a video about Westmoorings and some of these areas that you can look for on my channel. And of course, please do subscribe. Your subscription to my channel helps my channel to grow. It's free. All you have to do is click the subscribe button, and you only click it once. Once you subscribe, that's it. If you haven't subscribed yet, or this is your first time here, please do subscribe, like, and share. Let everybody know about JB's Man Cave. It's very much appreciated. Now, I do these videos and I run this channel especially for my sons. And if you want to know about that, you can check the About section, or you can check any one of my websites to learn more. But basically, this is all for them and their sake. And the reason for that, well, again, you can read there. Right now we're on the Western Main Road heading west. There's a bit of traffic. On the right, that's Goodwood Park, and on the left would be Bayshore, which you can't see because of all that walled area there. When I was a kid, it wasn't so dramatic in that there wasn't so many walls and, you know, closures of roads and stuff, but crime has become rampant. Recently I recorded a short and another video about the US advisory on Trinidad and Tobago, how the categories were such that they advised their own citizens to not come to Trinidad and Tobago. It used to be that they would say don't go to certain areas in Trinidad and Tobago, but now it's for the whole country. If you like what I do, if you like my videos, please do become a patron. You can give a donation on my site. You just go to jbmancave.com. There's a donation button there, or you could go to jboard.com, and also there's a donation button there. Just click there and donate. You can donate more than once, although it's a one-time thing there. You're not subscribing a donation monthly or anything like that, but you can donate as often as you like. Also, if you'd like to sponsor, or if you would like to advertise, let me know. I don't mind including that in some of my videos. So we're going to turn right here shortly. That area, that road, that takes us to GLENCOE. If we were to go further, that would take us to Point Kumana and Carinash. That's another video. In fact, I've passed on this road many times, so you can check my other videos for that. But we're heading to GLENCOE now. On the left there, by the way, is actually Keith Rowley's head office for the area. Dr. Keith Rowley is also the Prime Minister of the country and the constituents' leader. This is Newbury Hill, and that's not an advertisement for him, by the way. Don't bring politics into my videos. I'm just letting you know that's where his constituency office is. Anyway, so we're going up the mountain here, and you can already get a vibe about the kind of area it is, despite the many potholes on the road. The road doesn't reflect the kind of houses that are up here. This is a more affluent area. Now, besides that being affluent, I can tell you that when I was young, this side of this general area was considered for those who could not afford places like Goodwood Park. So they would come to GLENCOE. So not to put on anybody here, because, you know, GLENCOE has huge houses, it's millions of dollars to live up here and so forth. But I'm just saying, when I was a kid, it was more green, And whenever somebody couldn't afford, the even more expensive areas like Goodwood Park, Glencoe would be the next choice. That dog on the left seems to be having some fun. Looks like a Maltese. That's a gigantic retaining wall. Wow. That alone must cost a house. So we're going up here, Newbury Hill. All of these little artery roads, this is all part of Newbury Hill. And the lookout from here is amazing. You can see there on the left. You can at least get a glimpse of it. On the day that I took this, they were fixing a rig. You can see the rig with its spokes up in the air. Now, Glencoe, like many other places, has parts of it that look really nice, and then other parts that just don't. So sometimes you might say, well, where are you from? I'm from Glencoe. And unless you could pinpoint the street or how far in and things like that, those details, you really would not know which part of Glencoe. Is it, the poor side, the rich side, the nice side, the not so nice side, and so forth. That's how Trinidad is, more or less. There are very few areas where, you could say, I'm from X place, and the place just looks one way. Very few. Here in the north, if you say St. Clair, or I guess if you said Goodwood Park, then you would more or less be guaranteed of the kind of place they would live in. But that is not always true, because some people do not keep their lands or whatever in a proper way. If you notice that sudden abrupt stop, that's because sometimes the camera goes off on me, battery dies or something, and I just have to replace it. So kind of cut in there. Sometimes I would fade in, but I didn't fade in there. Anyway, moving along. One of the biggest or most noticeable things you'll see about more affluent areas is their willingness to have a lot of trees and green. And I really like that. They put their plants and whatnot. And that is actually something that people of long ago used to do, no matter how affluent you are, how nice the area was or anything. People used to take a little more pride in the establishment of their place, their community. They would plant plants, grow trees. Often it would be very common for people to have their own fruit trees, in fact, in their yard. But I notice that's not so common now. People seem to be very dependent on farmers and other people. See those towers in the distance? Those are huge. And I'm not sure they're all fully occupied. I heard, this is only I heard, it's alleged that there was an earthquake that affected one or partially some of those buildings. I'm not sure what's going on with that. If you know better, feel free to comment about it in the comments area. I have a closer shot of that in the same Westmoorings video that I was talking about. If you didn't see that, make sure to look for it. So we're still in Glencoe. This side of Glencoe is on the mountain facing over shorelands towards Point Commander and so forth. They have a really nice view. And whenever you see me stop like that, that's because I'm taking in the view. Or probably taking a picture of the view. Now if I took a right here, that would take me to, I think it's called La Horquette or La Horquette Road, Valley Road, which leads me deeper into Glencoe. We will go there, but first I want to get the rest of Newbury Hill. A lot of the designs of the houses there are nice. They're more modern. Some are plain, some are regular. Some have some really nice designs that they look rather stately, but because of the way it's situated or the kind of walls that they have around their property, it's hard for this camera because this is a mounted camera. It's not like I'm panning left or right. However, the camera has a wide view to try and pick up as much as it can where it can. See, for instance, look at that wall on the left. Wow, that's humongous. But you know, there's a nice house being built up right behind that. That little pause, by the way, is on the truck is me probably putting in 4x4. Some of these roads here are very steep. You're learning how to drive, you're not sure how to drive, nah, don't come up places like this. Be sure about both your vehicle and your driving skills. Because you know, as you can see, sometimes people park on the road and it can be tough. This is more or less the end of the road, as they say. And then turning around, you get to get a sort of a view of some of the designs and stuff. I remember coming up here in my younger years, whether it was to visit friends or somebody, but it was more green. It wasn't, you know, so much clutter of places. One thing I would really like is that if people have a dead end, at least that should be for planning, there should be a circular or some kind of turning point in the area. I don't think a dead end should be the same width of the rest of the road. There should be some discrepancy to turn around. I mean, that's for planning, yeah, but for me, that's how it should be. See, whatever house they're constructing is, it looks really nice. Still in the process. And they will have a tremendous looking view. Just the vegetation alone in this area looks good. Now you see those houses on the mountainside on that side there, right across the screen? We're gonna pick that up later in the video because all of that is part of GLENCOE. This is a good example of what I was telling you. It's really hard to turn around when it's just an end, especially if it's a steep incline, decline. You know, you're gonna get trouble to turn around. I guess people are just assuming, well, you know, I'm just going to my place, I can turn around in my yard. But you know, as these are public roads and you're turning around, it's really tough if you don't know if this is a dead end or not. How about you? Do you like living on the mountainside flat? Which do you prefer? Let me know in the comments area. And when you're answering the comments, yes, please tell me what you're answering. Some will just blurt out an answer, but not really say what they're answering, you know. And sometimes these videos can be up on my channel for years after it's made. So, you know, if you just come and blurt out an answer, we're not going to know what you're answering. So please say, you know, I would prefer to live on a mountainside rather than just say mountainside or whatever. And by the way, for me personally, I love mountain views. Not steeper, but one thing about living on a mountain, it's way more quiet. If you haven't lived on a mountain before, I can tell you it's very quiet. There's not all this loud noise, traffic, people going by. It's very peaceful. Less likely to have a home invasion on a mountain too. You know, the flat people, criminals like quick getaways, but they don't like to go up in a mountain. Usually there's one road in and out. They don't want to be trapped. They don't want the inconvenience of going up and down a mountain or a hill. So they take the easy way. And then in the background, if you can pick it up, you'll see a nice view. The challenging thing about some of these views is unless you know somebody with a home up here, you really can't get a full view because the houses itself block the view. So you really can't see it from these public roads. And like I said, this part of Glencoe is the nicer part of Glencoe, or probably the nicest, but it wasn't always this, didn't always have this look. To me, they developed it a lot. More or less the houses to me will look, in my day when I was younger, we're talking about decades ago, it was more or less middle class houses, but you know, as people build it up and so they refurbish it, make it look more modern, add on stuff, and so it looks better. Now this side road here, this would take you to what used to be Hilo, now Massey. See right there on the left, you turn in there, you could actually enter the compound there. That has always been like that. As far as I remember, at least as when I was a kid, it used to be like that, but I don't think it was such a big road. It was more or less like a little track, a little trace. These streets are all part of Glencoe, but they all come to a dead end, and many of them, and we are going to go through as many as we can. I try to cover as much of the area as I can. It's not always possible. In the background, you can see the mountain and the houses on top. That's where we were just now. You can get a better idea of the way the houses looked. This road here is not too bad. Some indiscrepancies, but better than the one that was on the mountain. Now as you turn here, you can get a better idea of the area, kind of houses. You can see that the houses on this flat here are not as fancy as the ones up on the mountain. And some of these houses have been here for quite a while. If they look modern, you see like that house on the left, that's a typical Caribbean style. So is that one, the aquamarine one. But then some people will spruce it up and kind of modernize it, make it look different. See that green growing over the walls? I always like that. I think they call it sweet lime. It's a plant. I don't know the scientific name. If you do, you can always put the answer in the comments area and always say what you're answering and the time in the video. So as we exit in the street again, you get to see more of the houses on the mountain top. You can see they're quite large. Took some planning to do that for sure. That house right opposite, that is a typical Caribbean house. The way it looks, the rough kind of style, the porch area, the wall, the exterior wall. That's more or less how many Caribbean houses look. That style is actually phasing out, but it was very typical when I was a child. One of the interesting things about some of these roads is how big they are in comparison to other places. Let's say in the east, a road to a residential area is often much smaller. And again, you'll notice the green, right? Lots of green. Not just concrete everywhere, but people putting up plants. That road opposite would take us back to Newbury Hill. Funny enough, even though I used to come up Glencoe, I never really went into these side streets, so a lot of this is new for me too. That part of the mountain behind, that is part of Glencoe too. We will get that later in this video. Right here is a river where this dead end goes. I liked how they sealed it off and put that tree right in the middle of the road. A very interesting concept. This house looks like it will be nice after they paint it off. Looks like they're sealing the cracks and stuff, getting ready to paint. And again, you can see the trees and the green. I guess for people who don't have as much property, land, maybe a lot or less, because there are people who are dividing, even divide lots, which to me, I find that there should be some limit on what you can sell. I mean, you can't divide and divide, right? Because you're really concentrating too many people in one little spot. But anyhow, I find that because land is at such a premium in the country, people take off or take away or remove trees because they want to utilize or max out the space on the property. And unfortunately, green suffers and the look suffers. Because on its own, I mean, no matter how nice the place looks, without greenery, landscaping and stuff, it just does not appeal as much. Your brain just naturally is drawn to nature and stuff. That's just how we're wired. And when you take that away, it's just not as nice. You can see some of the properties on the mountain on the left there. We're going to be driving up there, but that's near the end of the video. We have a lot to cover in this first part of Glencoe. And by the way, these side streets that I keep going down, that's only the first part of Glencoe. There aren't as many like this way you just enter and then there's a sudden dead end. I mean, there are side streets that eventually end in a dead end, but you have to go quite a ways. Now on the top of the mountain and at the center of the screen, you can see all the way up is some houses. Those I believe would be on the Goodwood Park side, I'm not sure. Because right over that hill there is Goodwood Park, which is really expensive. Sometimes too, that's why I like to go into these side streets, because in doing so I'm turning around the truck and just turning around the camera, because like I said, this camera is mounted. I can't really turn it left or right, but I have set it so that you get a good wide view without getting that fish look that some people give when they put the camera too wide and then it tries to bend everything to fit. I don't know about you, but I just don't like that. So I was telling you earlier about a video that I made about an advisory of Trinidad and Tobago. Right now, crime is so rampant that mass shootings, imagine that, mass shootings is a commonplace thing in Trinidad now. Now, when I say mass shooting, I'm not talking like about how it is in USA, where a deranged gunman enters a school and shoots children and all that. I'm not talking about that. Although in these mass shootings locally, children do get shot and killed. So basically, what's happening a lot in the country right now is that there's a lot of gang rivalry, and so a man might be in a sports arena or a playground or near a corner or near a bar or whatever, and a car would just drive up. Men would actually get out or stay in their vehicle and start shooting indiscriminately at everybody. They're trying to target possibly one person, but they don't care who's around, whether it be children or ladies, the disabled, nothing. They just shoot at everybody. And so it ends up being a mass shooting. There's several people are killed and many others are shot. That's happening regularly in Trinidad. That's how bad the crime is. And that's why people take a lot more precautions. And that's also why the US put out an advisory about don't travel here, reconsider travel. So if you never saw Caribbean houses and you ever wondered why is there so much metal on the windows and on the gates and the doors and so forth, well, that's more or less the reason. Crime, and it has been that way more or less since I've been growing up. Not as much, but it's more exaggerated now because of the crime situation. People are more scared for their lives, considering safety and so forth. That house also is a good example of the old time Caribbean look for houses. All this part here used to be just green when I was a kid. Didn't have all this recreation part and all this commercialization on the left, which, sorry to say, but I generally dislike for a residential area. I can understand one little snack it, but then this whole thing causes a lot of limers, a lot of, you know, the wrong types enter any place, causing traffic control. I just don't like that. And it's not to say there isn't stuff around, because right outside in the main road, Western Main Road, is Massey stores, pharmacy, and different things. So, I mean, I have nothing against people trying to make a living or establishing a place, but and again, in a residential area, I just don't like seeing it. And that is any residential area. I think residential and commerce should be totally separate. Because people who want to live want their peace of mind. They don't want to be in noise and traffic and people shouting and drinking and whatnot. By the way, the people you're seeing in the video are people who take care of the grounds and stuff. Sometimes they are called URP workers. They go area by area and they clean the grass, clean the roads. They do a good job making the area look nice. And you get a good idea of how mountainous up here. You can see all the mountains in the distance. I see some of these roads, as I mentioned again, comes to a dead end. You see some of the designs of the houses, what people have in mind for themselves and so forth, and the design of those houses. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't, I don't know. I prefer a more modern look. You see this blue house? You see that kind of modern look? That's my kind of thing. Some people prefer it plain, some want small, some want big. But he has their own personal preference, and people should be able to live peaceably in their homes without having to worry about thieves, invasions, and so forth. These weren't here either when I was a kid, but it's amazing to see the kind of architecture that must have gone. Look at the amount of stilts. When I say stilts, column beams that are holding up those houses. They're literally being held up like that. On the left, I'm talking about. Look at the beams. going into the earth in order to hold up those, what are they? Condos, apartments, townhouses? Not sure what it is. I don't know, if one of those beams gave out for some reason, wow. I hope they are earthquake proofed, because normally I know if you're doing it for earthquake, you can't just go square, you have to go with a X in the beams. A square does not handle shaking well, but an X will. And when I say X, I mean crisscrossing that square. You still need the square, but you also need a cross going on it to stabilize. And I'm not a construction expert, I just did a little architecture in my time, that's all. And attended a few conferences where they talked about what you could do to prevent earthquakes. There's simple experiments you can do for that. And being up here again, you get to see like those townhouses, apartments across there with the red roof. We won't be able to access those because those are usually communities, gated communities, but you gotta look at it from there. This road ends in a dead end again, but again you get to see more of Glencoe and what the area looks like. I know many of you are abroad looking for places to live, and while I didn't see too many for sale signs here, if at all, I think I saw maybe one or two. Sometimes they're not always marked. But if you wanted to know, hey, is Glencoe a nice area to live? Well, yeah, it does have nice parts of it, I would say. There on the flat where you saw the grocery and stuff, I would say that's not so nice. And there's areas even further in that we will get to that are also, in my opinion, not so nice. But generally, yeah, it's a nice area. I have looked online and did see reports of an increase in crime. I don't know if it's still that way. And crime is right now, like I said, all over the country. And one of the unique things about the Caribbean is the amount of differences in the walls. You'll notice we use a lot of walls here, whether it's an actual wall of stone like this one, it could be metal, it could be wood. Well, not too many people use wood for their fence here. It's not like the States. Some people don't use any walls at all, but most people do. They tend to use metal or concrete. We build a lot with metal and concrete here in the Caribbean, and the houses are way stronger than what you have in the States. And of course you can see we use a lot of color too. People just love colors in their houses. That's something, again, not too common abroad. Tend to be one color or one look. Here it's a variety of looks. So we're back on the flat or the main road into Glencoe. And Glencoe continues deeper and deeper, going into the mountains. So a side road here that we will go into. There are a lot of side roads crossing the river. This road looked like it was newly done. Very nice. Has that neat appearance. Plenty of space, like I said, to turn around. That's how it should be, in my opinion. I don't know if I would like to live so close to a river though. See the river right there on your right? And there isn't a wall or anything blocking it off, so if for some reason that river started to overflow, wow, all here would be affected. But I guess you're on a mountain side and Glencoe kind of a slants. You can't tell, even though we're on a flat, we're gradually ascending into the mountain. So I guess the water flows away so fast that it won't be able to flood. But still, I don't like living close to rivers. That's a road up there going up to residential. I wish I covered it, but I didn't. I went up enough of them, and the trip was taking long. In fact, I had to do this trip in two parts because in this first part here, I actually had my family with me, and one of my sons, he just can't handle all these long trips. He gets nauseous, and so I had to quit. But I came back, so don't think when I'm exiting this video, or I should say exiting Glencoe in this video, I'm done. No, I'm actually covering the whole thing. That's for sure. You can see we're going up the mountain again, and you get a view of all these, almost look like fortresses, some of these houses. Can't imagine having to clean some of them. Those on the left definitely look like apartments. I can't imagine that's a house. But I like the green, again, flowers. People just sprucing up their place. Makes it looks nice. And again, it's quiet up here. Nobody hustling you, interfering with you. Now the road looks like it turns there and goes into something significant, but it doesn't. So I didn't want to use up there to turn around, so I just decided to reverse here. I mean, while you have the benefit of low noise and nice view, one of the things living on a mountain is you need to have a good vehicle, right? You can spend a good bit of fuel driving up and down the mountain. And if you forget something, you have to go all the way back down, drive all the way back up. In essence, if you're without a vehicle, it can be difficult because, let's say you're coming home from work. Just imagine you have to go all the way up this mountain. I mean, there are P cars that you can hire or H cars that you can hire. I never take PH cars, by the way. There are cars you can hire to bring in, but you would have to pay more for that, especially if they know you're living up a mountain. They'll charge you a lot for that. So you need your vehicle. Again, going back down, you get a view, nicer view. That house there on the left looks like 3 stories. Could be 4, depending on if underneath that foundation is more property, more rooms. By the way, people in Trinidad love to build up on a mountain. Especially something called squatters, which is people who didn't pay for the land, but they just build. And squatters like to go way up into the mountain where they feel they would be left alone and can build without disturbing anybody else. And there's a law locally in Trinidad after so many years, if you can squat and take care of a land for so many years, if it's state land that is, it becomes yours. I'm not sure if it's 10 or 20 years or whatever. I don't keep up with those laws because I'm not a squatter. But yeah, sometimes they do that. So sometimes a mountain will be all green, and then suddenly you'll see a house being constructed. When I say a house, it'll be usually an old wooden house or unfinished concrete house, and nobody really digs into that because it's so far up in the mountain and nobody cares because probably had to take a track to get it. But then eventually you start seeing more and more of those popping up until the whole mountain face is filled with those kinds of houses. And those people who squat end up trying to sell their land to people who want to build actual nice houses. Check out those mangoes are falling. We just so happened to be passing when that mango tree was dropping its mangoes. So we stopped and picked those that just dropped. I'm not a fan of picking up mangoes that have been there on the road. You could get worms, you could get different stuff. But if they just dropped and they're okay, they're still firm, yeah, you can dig it. And that, by the way, is falling on public space, and the trees over public space. So yeah, that's for the taking. Again, I stopped here because my son, again, he can't handle too much road trips. In fact, since I made this video, I don't really take that much on road trips anymore because they can't handle it. But on this trip, I had to stop there. So sometimes it looks like I just stopped there for a second, but I might have just stopped there for 20 minutes or more. So this is Glencoe Heights we're going into. It's another road that takes you to a residential area in Glencoe. Again, all climbing mountain. Oh, look at that house on the left. That's very interesting. Where they designed it, the look of it. Some of these properties you can see, right? You can this one on the left actually does not use a wall, which is unique. It's not common. Most people tend to have a wall. You can see this little part here is, what is it, cove or crescent or whatever it looks nice. Do it a little bit of maintenance on the lawn and stuff, but other than that, yeah. A big pine tree on the left. I like things like that. You can see so many houses being constructed on your right, going up the mountain there. If you see a favorite house that you like, use the code in the video and you can always say, oh, I love this house, and you could put the timestamp. The way it works is you put a number, which is stands for hours, a colon, and then 2 digits, which is minutes, and then a colon and 2 digits, which is seconds. Just like you would see on your alarm clock or stopwatch. That lets YouTube know where in the video you are referring to. So we're going deeper into Glencoe. Like I said, Glencoe seems like it's just one road to a few houses, but it's not. It keeps going and going and going. Now, this is Westvale Park, but there was a road there on the right. We'll come back to that later in this video that goes even further in. This more or less takes you up the mountain face, but it comes to dead ends. What do you think? You'd like to live in here? Too far away from the main road for you? What do you think? You can see all the mountain in the back, right? All still to be developed. Again, a problem of turning around in some of these places. If I go up further into those roads, that will just take me to private property, which I do not want to go. So that's why I'm turning around here. And my truck is kind of long, so if I'm making small turns, that's why. I don't want to hit anybody's garbage bin or wall or whatever. Just looking, no touching. This little piece of road is nice. I mean, I could go into all these little roads, but come on, right? I have more videos to make of other parts of the country and the world. We will take this one though, because it's a road that I've actually frequented a lot for various reasons. Some of these areas here, I do know them. Unlike some of the areas I are unfamiliar with, like in south and east. The west I tend to know a little bit more. I like how you know they cut a face of a mountain, it's like that. It has like a cool look to it, you know. You live right on a mountain, your driveway is right on a mountain edge. It's not bad. Very quiet again up here. All you're hearing is the breeze rustling through the trees. Nothing else. No limers, no set of cars driving up and down. You know, just peaceful. As it should be. Unless you have a noisy neighbor. This spot right here is as deep on the face of the mountain as you can get, basically, for GLENCOE. There is another part you're gonna see, and that one almost looks adventurous the way it is. Um, but I believe my son couldn't handle it, and that's why we I think I was supposed to turn left and look, but he couldn't handle it, so we turned right and started our way back to the main road. Now, as I said before, I'm going to go all the way to the Western Main Road. I'll just give you a tour of that road on the left, by the way, is another road I have to come. Just to give you a tour of what it looks like on the way out from GLENCOE. However, don't leave, because by the end of this road, when I reach the Western Main Road, I will cut in again to where I continue this road trip. Like I said, I had to exit because my son, he gets nauseated easily, and he couldn't handle going up and down these roads. So I had to cut it short for today. But somewhere around here, I think I started back the other part two, let's say, of this road trip. But the good in it is that you get to see what it's like to exit it's a gradual descent. Because really, we're up in the mountain, although you can't tell when you're on the flat or relatively flat. But we are going down, and as we do so, you get to see what it's like to exit. All this was green, 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 green. No houses on each side here. All these houses is a new thing for me. The houses used to be all on the mountainside and so forth. So all this built up place here is new. Especially this part here. The grounds on the left and all this commercialization. The road there on the right that we're coming up to, between that yellow and red colors there, that's another part of GLENCOE. Part of it, because that can also take you back to Point Commander. That's another road I'm going to come to just now. These on the right, there's all these side streets that I've been covering. By the way, there are no taxis coming in here. There's no reason for it. So it's not like if you wanted to come into GLENCOE, you would have a taxi at the corner like some places. Not like that. So this is back at the Western Main Road. Right opposite there, that is Shorelands. Those are apartments where you see that Linda's sign. Again, I have another video covering more of that. You can look for it. So we're just waiting to get past these cars, and then I will switch to coming back into GLENCOE right there. So that gives you a general area of where I started back. This is on another day, and I want to capture some of those roads that I told you just now that I missed. Now this is a different time of day. I believe in the first part it was around maybe 10, 11 in the day. Now it's around 4:30, 5 o'clock, somewhere there. So if the light is hitting everything differently, you can understand why. It's going into sunset. That may help you to get a different view of the area, I don't know. So the last time we went left, right, that was Westvale Park. Now we're going right. Now this is a part of GLENCOE that I know many people have not seen, not traversed. Got a little hum from my microphone. Not sure why. But you can see, right, the difference. Doesn't look like typical GLENCOE. Not maintained like the rest of GLENCOE, right? So the roads are bad, bumpy. It almost looks like a trail or a track. So I don't know if there is town and country planning here. Got a place on the left, it looks almost abandoned. And real vegetation, but not vegetation by planting, but because it's literally in a forest. This road is no longer with pitch, not even concrete. It's just bare road, rocks and stuff. You can see how hard of a time that vehicle ahead is having going over that. It's not made for that. These are the times I like having a truck. It's a nice river on the right there. There's some other properties around, but it's really, here is very isolated. And this is more or less definitely the end of the road for GLENCOE. That dog is giving me his welcome greeting. While this road looks like it's going up, it doesn't. Kind of ends right there. And maybe that might take you to somebody's estate, but there's no other property or anything going on up there. And I didn't want to, because of the relative closeness to the water on either side, I did not want to go up there and end up in some river or whatever. Yeah, I know you all know me for taking chances, but that, I take a chance to see something, not just to go up to a dead end. That made no sense to me. So basically I turned around. I think I stopped here a bit because I wanted to ask one of the residents if there was anything more up there. And he was confirming to me that that was it. This is the end of the road, nothing else to see, no hikes, no nothing. Maybe it's somebody's estate, they just have not built it up. So with that I exit here. Now, this is not the only part of GLENCOE I wanted to show you, because there are some other roads with some what I would call even more extreme mountainsides to go up to. More eye candy than here. This is not what you would expect from GLENCOE, right? So if you, again, like I said in Trinidad, you might say, oh, I'm living in GLENCOE, but might be in the back here. You might be picturing in your mind this huge house or whatever, but that's not the case. So really, when you're describing where you live in Trinidad, you have to be very specific. Have you ever been this far into GLENCOE? Let me know in the comments area if you have. Or you can also tell me overall what you think about GLENCOE. That also shows you how much difference taking one road or street or whatever can make, huh? So but we're back here now in the GLENCOE that you may be more familiar with. So what I'm going to do now is we're heading back down, but I'm going to take some roads on the right so you get an idea of some of the houses and what it looks like on the right too. And maybe, you know, maybe you used to live here and you would like to see, maybe I will miss your road. Sorry if I did. Some of you will come and say, oh, you should, if you took a left or if you took a right or if you did this or if you did that, you would have seen my place. But you know, I can't take everywhere, and sometimes I will stop. Like for instance, I stopped here, and what I would do is evaluate the road. Is the road going to take me to something I can see? Would I be able to turn around or not? And in this case, it wasn't that way. I mean, it wasn't worth going up there just to maybe turn around, or I wouldn't have been able to see anything, so I just abandoned it. And I checked this one, it looks like it was okay, so I decided to go up. So the houses that you would have seen from the other side of the mountain, you get to see from this side. Now, like I said, it's around half 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and the sun is going down behind that mountain. So the lighting is not the best right now. You can still pick it up more or less some of the things. It would have been better if it was noonday or if the sun was shining on the other side. Oh, look at that lovely bird. Yellow tail, black wings, black body. Again, turning around because, like I said, most of these roads end as a dead end. Well, at least because the sun is shining that way, you get more of the other side of the mountain, which we've already covered earlier in this video. That part up there, you can see they made it a community, gated community, so obviously I can't go up there. That's all new for me. I didn't have things like that up here when I was a kid. Then you always have that dumping area, small, it's not well maintained. Not sure really what's going on the left. Looks like people want to build but not successful. But building right on a river, unless you plan to build a huge retaining wall, not advisable. That road on the right there is another road I could have taken, but I decided to miss that because I still had the other part of GLENCOE to record, and that's what you're going to see now. Now if you're getting a buzz, that is just me trying to figure out where that something is not grounding off on my mic, and so I'm trying to fix it on the fly. Otherwise I have to stop recording in order to do that, and I don't want to go to, because this video is hour 22 minutes. It's like making a movie. Right, so this is where we turn off. Now this road could actually take you to Point Cumana, but this is still part of GLENCOE that we're in right now. And just now I'll give you a basic idea of where Point Cumana begins and where GLENCOE ends. But with this part here, this is considered part of GLENCOE still. And this is some of the houses that were on the surface of mountain face. For instance, the park. Now this is very steep. I don't know if you could tell, but I will be engaging my 4x4 soon, because although I took this right here, roads here are terrible by the way. You do need to engage a 4x4 to go up there unless you really plan to put strain on your engine. Roads could do the work. It's a bit congested. I like the way this house look. More modern. Nice little grounds, whatever. As you can see, it takes a lot of work for this, and driving around, spending fuel, cost a lot. then it takes a lot of time for me to edit this video, publish it. So again, make sure that if you can, no forcing you, but if you can, feel free to donate on jbmancave.com or jboard.com. There's a donation button there. You can give a donation. It's a one-time thing. It's not permanent, but it does help me out, mitigate the cost of doing this, and I'm doing this for my sons. It's really appreciated. So we're continuing up here again. Goes up and up and up and up. As I said earlier, it takes quite a bit of fuel to come up here, and if you have a heavy vehicle or you need transport, this is gonna cost you a lot. It's a nice view though. In fact, one of the parts up here, I stopped and I used my other GoPro to record it. That will come out in another video. Some of the houses up here are enormously big. Bigger the house, more the cleaning. I think some of you like it that way. Not me. In case you don't know, I'm a minimalist actually. Less the better. Here is a magnificent scene. I don't know if you could see it. You could see some of the satellite islands out there. The sea, the ships. Like I said, I recorded that part on another video. This is where it ends. So these houses here get the best of both worlds. They can see both Port of Spain, Shorelands, Bayshore, Westmoorings, St. James. They could see all of that. And they can look on the other side of their house probably and see Point Cumana, Carenage, Chaguaramas. So really it's nice. When you're living all the way on the edge of a mountain on the top, you can see all around. See, you can see Port of Spain there. You can see the Hyatt. You can see the Woodbrook Towers. You can see Westmoorings on the bottom. It's a splendid view. Look at that. This is something I know those of you in the east and south and central probably wish you had. There aren't a lot of mountains, at least this tall, high, big. It's more like hills in those areas, so there isn't much of a view. But here we have big mountains in the north, part of the northern range. When people build their houses on them, they get some really spectacular views. This is where I decided to stop and take. I took about 5 minutes and recorded some of it because there wasn't a house there on that particular plot, so it gave me a space to record. And I didn't have the map in me. Most of the times when I'm going to the area, I try to remember the map, so I couldn't remember if this was going to take me down a different way, but it didn't. It ended up being a dead end. And what was kind of sad about that is if I went all the way down there, I literally would not have anywhere to turn around. So I said, you know what, I am not going any further. Reversing uphill is not a great experience, especially because you can't see other people coming around corners and stuff. So I don't want to take any chances. People already have their Christmas decorations out. Wow. Interesting decor. Nice too. You got a view of some of the houses around. And you get some to see some of the sea on the right. And all of this is peaceful, huh? If I was to give you audio, all you would hear is the engine of my truck, which isn't exactly a nice song, so that's why I've muted. You can get a kind of an idea of what the view is like. And here's just peaceful. I just got a hiccup, so I need to take a water break. I drink a lot of water. I don't know about you. Living in the Caribbean, you need to drink a lot of water. I probably drink about 2 or 3 liters of water a day. It's like what? Like some days it could be up to a gallon. Usually I believe is almost 4 liters. Now this road takes you to Point Kumana. Now I wasn't sure at the time where it ends and begins, but this part right here, this is still part of GLENCOE. There's a road up there on the right, but this person is chit-chatting and not letting me go by. And I wanted to go up, but I figured, look, let me see if I can continue on and see if I capture anything still in GLENCOE, and then I would come back. But as it turns out, that road is pretty much the last road of GLENCOE, and this is all entering Point Kumana. Point Kumana is an area that I would say is has its controversial times. I have passed through this area before. This part of Point Kumana, I guess, is the nicer part, but there are a lot of criminal activity, and they're always in the news and stuff. Not to put down the area, but I've had as much of as seen my vehicle broken into, my school books taken, and all that. Some of it is not good memories. A lot of stealing. Um, so I don't have favorable things to say about that. Sorry for anybody who might be living in Point Kumana, but that's just how it is, and they are always highlighted in the news now and again for gunshots, fighting, some kind of crime or whatever. I will cover it at some point, but not today. This video is about GLENCOE. And just imagine I'm telling you about that experience when I was a teenager. So that's to let you know it's actually worse now. So maybe we can get back into GLENCOE, and maybe that black car has moved. And I'm gonna turn here, and this is the last of the Mohicans, as it were. And this road is just one steep incline. And it takes some doing to get up, as you can see. And I wish it would have ended in some beautiful scenic view, but all it did was end in a dead end because the houses are the ones that have the view and we don't. Right? So I'm sure people paid a lot of money to get that. And I don't have any access points to see it, so I have to turn around. Who knows? Maybe this land that I'm facing is land that could be built up. Who knows? Maybe somebody owns it. Or maybe it just is the face for a house above it. Anyway, I got a bit to see some of the area down there. Westmoorings, rest of GLENCOE. But I wanted to make sure and get the rest of these roads because this is all part of GLENCOE and I didn't want to cut the trip short. Sometimes I will come into an area like that and record it, and after I leave I thought, I really should have taken this road or that road. I really try to make it as comprehensive as possible to make sure I get all the roads for an area, or as much as possible, reasonably possible. But if there are major roads like that, I really don't like leaving an area if I haven't covered them. Now I could have gone out, like I said, through Point Kumana, and you could have seen that way, but I wanted to stay in GLENCOE because this video is about GLENCOE, and I'm going to exit GLENCOE by turning right here. Now it's interesting that they call this a children's playground rather than just playground. It's just meant for children alone. So right now we're heading south out of GLENCOE. This is the main road that would take you from the western main road into GLENCOE all the way in. Now as a bonus, I am going to turn left at the end of this road. That would take me heading east through Westmoorings and onto a road called Coco Road. And from Coco Road it will go through Diego Martin, a bit of Diego Martin, to a place called Four Roads, where I will end the video. So really GLENCOE ends right here. Across there where the arrow is pointing, that is Shorelands. And if I would have gone right, that would have taken me to a place called Caranage and Chagaramas. This is on the western main road. That's the yacht club on the right. Bayshore on the right here, but that you can't access Bayshore there. It used to be that you could, but they blocked it off. And that's Goodwood Park on the left. Used to be that you could actually go in there easily, but they also blocked it off right there. If you want to access Bayshore, you can access it from this point here on the right. There's some nice houses there too. It's all on a flat, more or less. And like I said, I do have a video about that. You can always check for it on my YouTube channel. So video about more or less Westmoorings. Where we're entering here is Westmoorings, by the way. On the left is Westmoorings, and on the right is Westmoorings by DC, they call it. There's whole strip going on to the mall, and just a little bit after the mall, West Mall that is all Westmoorings. On the turning left there, this is also part of Westmoorings. The mountain on the right, that would be the Fort George area, but the face of it is Pity Valley. And the mountain on the left, up ahead, that's Diego Martin. The houses on the left, that would be part of Goodwood Park Extension. This is Mount Cook. We're passing St. Anthony's College on the right. And all here, this would be, officially, I believe, is Diego Martin. Show what's going on, that guy there. St. Finbar's Church, I believe, is on the right. That's a Catholic church. The area. The road on the left would take you to a place called La Puerta. That's in Diego Martin. It's another video. So this road will take you to a plaza called Starlight Plaza. Used to be a drive-through cinema back in the day. I hope you enjoyed our trip today to Glencoe. I really hope that you will subscribe, invite your friends and family to do so. I should be at 10,000 subscribers soon in the creation of this video, and I really need your help to reach today. By the way, I reached over 1 million views the other day, heading towards 2 million. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it.